Hi, and welcome back to this Thursday edition of Focal Point on AAFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. The program is Focal Point. You are on board. As a matter of fact, you are on board the USS Focal Point. It is our patrol boat in which we patrol the choppy waters of America's public life, looking relentlessly for the coordinates where truth intersects with politics, where the truth of God's words intercepts and intersects with our common and shared public life together. And I came across a story, you probably saw this, Reverend Terry Jones. He's the guy that burned Korans last year on 9/11. He had a plan this year in Mulberry, Florida, to burn 2,999 Korans to commemorate the victims who died on 9/11. And so he was transporting these Korans to the park where he was going to do this. And he was arrested and charged with a felony. I'll talk about what that was in just a moment. But, this is not my style. This isn't something that I would do. But this is something that in America, you ought to have the freedom to do. I mean, it's his Korans. It belongs to him. If he wants to burn his personal property, that's up to him. If he's got a pallet out behind his house and he wants to use it as kindling in his deck, fireplace, fire pit, that's up to him. If he wants to throw old books in that fire, burn them up, that's up to him. So this is something you ought to be allowed to do. But here's the point that I want to make. Well, let me just go through the details with you here. This is from Fox News. A Florida pastor was arrested Wednesday as he drove a pickup truck towing a large barbecue-style grill filled with kerosene-soaked Korans to a park where the pastor had said he was planning to burn 2,998 of the Muslim holy books, one for every victim of the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack. So notice this wasn't going to be, he wasn't going to throw them out in the lawn and torch them. It wasn't some kind of a bonfire. He had a large grill. He was going to burn them inside this grill. It was going to be contained inside this grill. Really no different fundamentally than having briquettes in there and barbecuing steaks and hamburgers on the weekend. That's what he was doing. So he had soaked these Korans, 2,998 of them, had soaked them with kerosene and was going to burn them in honor of the victims of Muslim jihad on 9/11. Sheriff's deputies in Polk County, Florida, arrested Pastor Jones and his associate pastor, each on a felony charge of unlawful conveyance of fuel. Unlawful conveyance of fuel. Holy smokes. How deep into the law book did they have to reach to find that? Here's clearly a deal, ladies and gentlemen, where they wanted to trample on his First Amendment rights, and they had to find some kind of legal excuse to do it. This is really no different than what the Pharisees did to Jesus. They had to find some kind of trumped-up charge in order to accuse him and convict him before the Sanhedrin. They tried to suborn testimony. They couldn't even get these counter witnesses, these false witnesses, to agree with each other, but that's what they were trying to do, find some kind of trumped-up charge to get him in trouble. So that's what they did with Terry Jones. He's facing a felony charge for unlawful conveyance of fuel. So that's, that's kind of bizarre to me. I mean, people haul these barbecue grills around all the time. These large grills, you for tailgating purposes, you may haul on a trailer, you may haul a barbecue grill to a football game to tailgate. This happens all the time. So obviously they were just manufacturing some kind of felony offense here to stop this guy from doing what he had set out to do. Now here's the point I'm bringing the story up for. So here's a guy. He wants to burn 2,998 Korans. They will not let him do it because it's a Koran. They don't want to insult Islam. Now remember, back in 2009, I think it was, there was a church in America where these individuals gave of their own resources. They pulled money out of their own wallets to buy New Testaments for our soldiers to give away to spiritually hungry people in Afghanistan. That was the purpose. I mean, they could give them to soldiers, but I think it was also, as I remember, it was also for the purpose of distributing these to anyone in Afghanistan that would like to read more about Jesus Christ, who is an honored prophet in the Koran. So our government, our military says you will not do that. In fact, they issued an order that every single one of those New Testaments had to be burned to ashes. So we've got a deal here now where our government, United States government, prohibits the burning of Korans, but commands the burning of the Bible. That's where we are at, ladies and gentlemen. That's a snapshot of where we're at when it comes to religious liberty in America. Our government prohibits, forbids the burning of Korans, and yet commands the burning of Bibles. That's a snapshot that tells you a lot about where we are at as a culture. Now, also wanted to talk, and Rob, if we can shift gears on this one, let's try to